Hi there, thanks for joining me. So today I'd like to do a pickups video. This should be after my first painting video if everything goes according to plan. I just wanted to go ahead and get on top of this huge pile of stuff before it gets completely crazy, and just let you guys know what sort of tabletop hobby gaming things I've gotten in the past 3 or 4 months, right? So for starters, I have a gift from my buddy who is playing Warhammer games with me, and he got me this for my birthday. This is the Warcry Tome of Champions from 2021. I was mentioning in my last video, there is a certain amount of fear of missing out. The way that you're going to be approaching these games is if you're playing a game at a certain time, you're gonna play through a campaign or something like that, and you're pretty much going to exhaust the materials for playing that game at some point, right, within a matter of months. And ideally, if you're really enjoying that, something new is going to come out, some kind of an expansion. It's going to have more content for the game you're playing. It might have some more rules or more models or both, and you're just going to be able to keep having fun with it if it's something you're enjoying, right? So we haven't actually started playing Warcry yet, but I really appreciate my buddy picking this up for me, because once we start our Warcry campaign, I'm sure that this is going to be something that's going to be really cool. It seems like it has a bunch more like campaign stuff for Warcry. It seems like it has some new rules for new models, all that stuff, all the things you would expect from essentially an expansion. This just isn't like a a expansion that comes with miniatures or something like that. It's a book expansion, and I can't wait to try it out once we start playing Warcry. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Next up, this was an Easter gift, which I definitely was not expecting. I think my buddy just wanted an excuse to, I have a feeling this is probably like a hand-me-down, so to speak, but it's really cool. I really appreciate this. This is so it's called A Galaxy of War. This is a hardcover. It's basically an overview of the Warhammer range. So I'll go ahead and flip through a couple pages here just so you can get an impression. So it's a sort of like, hey, the hobby in general, and then you're gonna go through like the different factions of Space Marines and stuff like that. You've got chaos stuff, and really just like a lot of, I think I would say, just sort of like pretty pictures, a lot of sort of painting inspiration and things like that. It's, I'd say, sort of mostly an inspiration book, right? Kind of a cool like coffee table picture book of Warhammer stuff. So I think that's super great. I really appreciate it. I think that will be something fun to give me a little bit of inspiration, especially for painting the Warhammer stuff that I have. Switching gears from Warhammer, if you guys watched my last video, I was explaining how I'm pretty much cutting myself off from Descent. Journeys in the Dark 2nd edition is just out of my reach at this point, and that's sad. But what isn't out of my reach is the Resident Evil board game. For some reason, Steamforged Games launched with Resident Evil 2, the board game. So my goal over the past several months has just been every few weeks to pick up an expansion, and let's see what I've gotten here. So for starters, these were kind of the first things that I got, mostly because they're a little cheaper. These are sort of like boss scenarios, I believe. So we have Malformations of G and Malformations of G B-Files expansions. These, say right on them what they have. You can see these are a little bit smaller boxes. They come with, a couple of plastic miniatures, which are like, bosses. We've got, Birkin, different stages of transformation. If you guys have played Resident Evil 2, William Birkin. This one actually has a game board tile in it. Most of these don't. Most of them are using the tiles from the main set, but that's actually pretty cool. This comes with a new tile, and it comes with more cards and, a booklet. Next up, we have, of course, the Survival Horror expansion. As far as I know, this is the first expansion that they did for base game, right? And these were kickstarted. I was not a part of the Kickstarter, right? I don't really have my finger on the pulse of what's happening on Kickstarter, for instance, especially, you know, in terms of this Steamforged Games. So at any rate, I don't know if this was like something that was part of the original Kickstarter or if it's just something that they did later. But again, you're getting a whole range of new models. You've got a rule book with rules for the models, you've got cards for them so that you can play them in the game, and you have a scenario that you can play with, you know, like the tiles from the original game. So, you know, if you're enjoying the board game, this is more you're going to be able to play. And I love Resident Evil as a setting for a tabletop game. I've been wanting this for years. I was doing it myself, basically, and the fact that I have like actual real kind of like license, you know, figures that are actually you know, made for Resident Evil in particular, and not just some like random zombie stuff, is incredible. This is the B-Files expansion, right? It has a tear on the cover. I got a little bit of a deal on it because of that. I don't really care because, you know, these boxes are useful, but like I'm not going to spend time sitting here staring at the front of the box, right? I'm going to be playing the stuff that's on the inside, and everything is here. It's all included. Again, you know, more rules, more cards, more minis, more scenario to play. I do have, I believe, one other model, which is Sherry Birkin, which is coming in the mail directly from Steamforged Games. There are a couple of smaller expansions. I think there was one with Hunk, which I did not get before it sold out, and I don't know if it's really available on eBay or anything like that. There was also like some kind of a retro game pack or something like that, which it seems like maybe a cosmetic thing in terms of maybe the board tiles for the game. By and large, between these 4 expansions, I think I have most of the content that I'm going to want to play for that, so I'm very pleased with that. And finally, I have Resident Evil 3, the board game. So by the time I had really noticed that I was going to really want to be jumping on these Resident Evil 2, the board game things, so that I was still able to get them, they already had Resident Evil 3, the board game out. So I went ahead and got this. I got this in like a pack with its first expansion, which is City of Ruin. So, you know, again, same thing, new models, new rules. This actually has some new board pieces and like different like tokens and things like that for play. So definitely, you know, a full-featured expansion. And there's one more expansion for Resident Evil 3, the board game, that they've come out with. I believe I have ordered that, and it is also in the mail on the way. So I think I will have all of Resident Evil 2, all of that I care about, all of Resident Evil 3 that's come out so far, and I just noticed that they have kickstarted Resident Evil, the board game. So after they've done 2 and 3, they finally cycled back to the Spencer Mansion and the first game. So you can believe I am on board with that. And the Kickstarter seemed like it was still going, at least as of a couple days ago. It wasn't still like active, but you could do like a late pledge, right? So I can still kind of like late pledge to the Kickstarter if I would like, and I don't know. It's a little confusing, all of the stuff you can get through Kickstarter. It seems like you can, you know, spend a bunch of money. We'll see. I may do that, or I may just purchase the games after the fact like I have with these first 2 games. But anyway, couldn't be more excited for these Resident Evil games. Clearly I have a lot of painting to do, painting and playing too. I'd like to enjoy these games. Maybe like a different real world friend in mind who I might actually like try to sit down and play these with in person. They are also able to be played solo, so it's possible, especially once I paint all of the miniatures, I might like to just play through the scenario, like the campaigns, solo, and it might even be fun to possibly record those and post them. You know, we'll see if that seems like something that I want to try doing. But anyway, thank you for joining me. And while I'm thinking of it, because this is a new channel for me, please go ahead and like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing, you know, that upcoming content. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.